have the Ayatollah of fantasy rock and roller with us today, Adam Rank. How you doing, Rank?
They look great in person, and I just can't wait to next year where we can pack it full of 25,000.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I didn't know it was Ball Guys Day. It was being ranked. I mean, how can you lose?
This is the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast.
Hello and welcome to the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast, powered by the Fantasy Points Media Group. We are coming at you strong like we do each and every week. But before we move on, we have to tell you about the early bird special going on at fantasypoints.com. That's right. You sign up today and you will receive 30% off your subscription. So do it today. This is a no-brainer. You get some of the best projections, best analysis. You've got guys like John Hansen himself, Scott Barrett, Joe Dole, Graham Barfield, Wes Huber. The names go on. And you know what? Every Sunday, you can catch a little bit of Way Too Major, Double F, coming at you strong with Nick Strip every Sunday on the Fantasy Points Morning Show. How are you kicking it there today, Major?
I am good, man. That was a awesome intro, man. You're just like the best at this. Good job, Matt.
Well, you know what? Those that can't do, teach, right? And that's kind of my thing. I can hype up anything, and that's what I'm good at doing here. But I'm going to hype up this show because we've got a good one going on today. We're going to talk a little bit about the wild card last week. We're going to preview the divisional round here this week. Then we've got our little bit of a running back special, some running back watch list items you need to be paying attention to, who to trade for, who to trade away. And then me and Major and I, we are going to break down our top Dynasty running backs. This is like a 3-part show coming at you strong, and I hope you buckle up because we've got a good one for you here. But without any further ado, okay, let's backtrack this here a little bit. Before we get into the wild card, we are seeing some coaching movement, some GMs fired, and I've got to get this off my chest. Mike Mayock should still be a Las Vegas Raider. There is no reason for him to have been let go. I mean, he took a team that was not very good. Yes, we can question some of his draft picks, but let's be honest. John Gruden made a lot of those draft picks.
True.
I mean, I'm not in those war rooms to make these decisions or have any kind of insider information, but a lot of those guys seem like John Gruden type guys, not Mike Mayock kind of guys. We watched NFL Network for years. Major, you and I, we're both into it. Mike Mayock knows a thing or two about the draft. He's not just about smoke and mirrors. So you know right off the get-go, those draft picks are probably not necessarily his draft picks. We're talking about a team in the Raiders that lost their coach, lost their top wide receiver. I mean, they had all kinds of issues going on in the background and still managed to get that 5th seed for the first time since 2016. And then you're going to clean house? You're going to let the GM go? I mean, I don't get it. This makes no sense to me. Major, can you make sense of this?
I cannot. When I seen it, I was like you said, he has some questionable picks. You know, I think that Farrell pick is one that's going to like kind of hunt him a little bit until we can, you know, hopefully gets that turned around. You know, the Henry Ruggs pick, you know, that turned, you know, that sad story. And he didn't pick the coach. He didn't, right? He didn't pick Gruden, did he?
No, Gruden was there before Mike Mayock.
Yeah.
Gruden essentially picked Mike Mayock to be his boss. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, I think a lot of these early draft picks, again, I have no knowledge of the situation here. I think a lot of the early draft picks were probably Gruden guys. And I think a lot of the late round guys, Max Crosby, were kind of the Mike Mayock selections. I think that's where the Raiders draft was better, was in the later rounds, and obviously in the first round, because we've seen some pretty questionable. Damon Arnett, no longer with the team. Henry Ruggs, no longer with the team. Clelin Ferrell probably shouldn't be with the team. So, I mean,
the Mac trade when he first came in, that was a tough one to swallow, but it looked like it kind of paid out. Mac is not the player that he was with the Raiders, but I don't know if they really capitalized on all those picks and everything they received in that compensation package. But I do see him getting a job again soon, if not with a team on back on ESPN or Fox Sports or something like that. The guy's a football savant, and I was really surprised by that one.
I think with Mike Mayock, he's going to have plenty of offers out there. If you're an NFL team, I don't even know if he wants to be back in the NFL, because I know it's hard to lure him out of the studio there at the NFL Network to begin with. I mean, if you have a college scouting spot open, Mike Mayock has already been scouting these guys for an entire year. He is ready to go into your war room today and help you become a better
He could be a consultant
franchise. Exactly. He's a guy you want to bring on as soon as you possibly can, because he has been looking at this draft now for a full year. He knows what he wants and all this other stuff. But you know what? Maybe going back to television, I'm pretty sure ESPN or NFL Network, they would be more than happy to bring him back into their kind of stable of analysis going forward. So it's not going to take long for Mike Mayock to get a job. I would have liked to see him get at least one more year to see what he could do without Gruden being in that war room. But you know what? That's the NFL. It's a business, and sometimes that's just the way it happens, unfortunately. We've seen this kind of stuff go on. We're watching this coaches carousel. We're watching to see who gets interviews, who's not getting interviews. And it's bringing up a lot of questions right now for us. And I think a lot of us are really questioning why this guy's not getting this interview, why this guy's not getting an interview, why is this guy getting an interview, especially in light of some of the coaches that have been released. I know one of the big ones out there is Eric Bieniemy. Why is he not getting a look? But, this has been 3 years now in the making. And I really start to think that a lot of the people who make decisions really believe that it's Andy Reid that's making these calls in Kansas City, not Eric Bieniemy. And Eric Bieniemy is kind of the guy that just kind of guides everything into place the way it needs to be, kind of like a consultant of such instead of the offensive coordinator. He's more like an offensive consultant to Andy Reid's offense here. Now, what's your thoughts on Eric Bieniemy? Because, we're talking 3 years now. He should be in line with the head coaching job. Kansas City's offense has been good for the tenure that he's been there, but yet he hasn't been even getting I think he's only got one interview lined up in this last go around. I think there's 8 head coaching spots open.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things going on here. One, I think they're still in the run, so I don't think other organizations are like reaching out to get that interview until they're done. I'm hoping that's like the main reason. Number 2, I think Andy Reid needs to do a better job of saying like, hey, this is Coach Bieniemy, this is what he did, this is that, kind of push him to the forefront a little bit more. But you hit it right on the head. Like, I think everyone is consistent saying that Bieniemy is just there with Andy Reid. But we can't all say that, because we've seen all the coaches from the Patriots all get opportunities, even though that we all know Belichick is the one pushing every button, offense, defense, special teams. So I feel what you're saying, and I really hope it's just the point of the Chiefs still being in the playoff hunt, being in the championship run and all that good stuff, and they haven't had a chance to really get with Coach Bieniemy yet. But I don't know, man. This is one of those things that I hate to put a race card out all the time, but sometimes it's a little blatant. So we'll see. I want to see if Kansas City gets knocked out within this week, next week, or whatnot, then we'll see what's really going on. But he should be the number one. The way the NFL goes, like whoever's the offensive coordinator on the hottest team, they are the number one guy. It happens since I've been watching football, and he has the number one quarterback, number one offense, number one, all this good stuff. He should be getting way more looks. They should be begging Kansas City to have interviews. At least they should have them all scheduled by now. You get what I'm saying? Even if it's not going to happen during this run, as soon as it's done, he should have everything scheduled and be ready to go.
Well, let's look. He's not a Patriots coach. And the Patriots don't exactly have a good track record of cranking out quality head coaches after Bill Belichick. Joe Judge, welcome to the Giants. See you later. Brian Flores, Welcome to Miami. See you later. Maybe Brian Flores ends up with the New York Football Giants and brings Deshaun Watson with him. All these rumors that we're hearing. Maybe that's a possibility. But I'm talking, we got so many good teams right now that are young, that have good young quarterbacks that do not have a coach right now. And I really think that a good offensive mind is what you need to pair with these good young quarterbacks. Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, say what you want about Daniel Jones. I mean, he hasn't had any consistency there in New York either for some time. So you've got a bunch of good young quarterbacks that don't have coaches. You can expect a lot of these brilliant offensive minds to probably land a position ahead of maybe a defensive coordinator looking at a head coaching job, Dan Quinn. So, I mean,
but that's the thing, like what you were just talking about with the Patriots, all those coaches you named who kind of fizzled out at the time of them getting that job, they were the it person just because they're on the coaching staff of the best team. So it's kind of trickle down effect. So if everyone wants Belichick guy, why can't everyone want and Andy Reid has a pretty good track record of his coaches and stuff going out. So I don't know, man. To me, the only thing I can point as the race thing, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna hold my soapbox speech until we really see what's going on. But it's a little funny because I don't even hear too much stuff going on with Tampa Bay with Leftwich. Another one, like you want the offensive coordinator, even if he's not the guy calling the shots. You want the guy in the room with the head coach and that quarterback. If I'm Chicago, I want Leftwich to be the mentor to my young quarterback because he was in the same room with Tom Brady. I want you to tell me everything Tom Brady knows, give it to my quarterback so we can like make him or get him to that caliber of quarterback. That should be the thinking going into this instead of saying like these guys are just there. They're not calling plays. They're not doing X, Y, Z. But I think it's the coaches on these staffs like need to promote these offensive coordinators a little bit more, and the media, because the media is the one who gets it going. So the media needs to do a better job as well.
Well, let's not forget about Brian Leftwich. He also coached your early 2021 MVP candidate there, Jameis Winston, at one point as well. Yeah. So, I mean, he's worked with some quarterbacks who have had some flaws and been able to turn out some pretty productive seasons out of them. Now, speaking of productive seasons, everyone's season has to end. We just talked about the Raiders and everything kind of came down there. So what are some of your biggest wild card surprises of this past week?
Yeah, my biggest surprise was just Kyler Murray. I thought, to me, that was one of the closest games, like going into it, trying to predict. I thought Arizona was going to give a way better performance than what they did. Kyler Murray looked like he was out of place. Like that the Ram defense is good. That defensive line was back there all day long, but it's like he couldn't even scramble. He had that one play was just like a bonehead play where he threw the pick six where most people would be like, take the safety, kick, and hope your defense can stop him, and you only gave up 2 points. He gave up 7 points just throwing the ball wild, like not even looking where he was going. It was just like that stuff coming from Kyler was weird to me because he's one of the quarterbacks in the league who's more calm, more cool, doesn't talk too much, just like more level-headed, and he looks so out of place during that Rams game, like the whole entire game. It was even in garbage time, he still looked really bad. So I was really disappointed in his performance, and I mean the O-line performance as well. But I thought they were going to give the Rams a better game, even though I picked the Rams in that game.
Yeah, maybe you're starting to think about when pitchers and catchers start to come to Oakland there for the athletics camp. Maybe he had his mind already set on spring training for Major League Baseball. Would it be safe to say that he just couldn't rise to the occasion, that he came up short in this contest?
We couldn't even get 15 minutes into the show before you got your first boo, man.
It's kind of like you kind of go out there and you know what? It's like that wily old vet that has to go seek that first contact coming back from an injury, right? You got to take it. So let's get this out of the way early and make sure we're prepared for the rest of the show. Because I'm sure there's a few more boos to come my way before the night ends. Now, for me, The biggest surprise was the complete ineptitude. I'm not even sure if ineptitude is a word, but I'm going to use it in this case because I think it describes the Dallas Cowboys and how they could not feature CeeDee Lamb in this offense against the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, the 49ers are good. Yes, they had some pressure with Nick Bosa and company. I think they had 5 sacks, 14 hits on Dak Prescott. So Dak Prescott was uncomfortable all game long. Call it what you will. I know you're going to touch on the mismanagement here a little bit later. I mean, a QB draw on that play, even if they convert that or even if they have a timeout, the chances of them still winning that game were slim to none. Let's be honest, the way this game is going. I mean, for the Dallas Cowboys, it was just, you have Amari Cooper. You have Cedric Wilson, who is a Tara Roberts special there. You've got Dalton Schultz. You've got Ezekiel Elliott. You got Tony Pollard. You've got CeeDee Lamb. And you failed to use them. I think Amari Cooper had 64 yards receiving. I think CeeDee Lamb had 1 catch for 21 yards, and that came very late in the game. I mean, they did not use their studs nearly as much, and there was advantages that they could have taken on San Francisco all over the field. Now, Kellen Moore is another one of those guys' names that we're hearing all over as a coach of the future for a franchise somewhere along the way, an offensive genius. I have some questions, some red flags after watching that Dallas Cowboys San Francisco.
Do you think do you think that was him, or do you think that was Coach Hogan?
I mean, we're not going to get into Mike McCarthy and his lack of clock management skills and all this stuff. I mean, I really wish Tara was able to make it. Unfortunately, she can't be on the show today because some other stuff going on there. But as a Packers fan, she knows what Mike McCarthy is all about. Dallas, you're starting to get a good understanding of what Mike McCarthy is truly about when it comes to managing a roster. And I mean, if you can't get one of the best wide receivers in the game today involved in an offense, you probably deserve to lose this game. Now,
but before you go any further on that, I just want to add, like, CeeDee Lamb should be in the same breath as Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. You should be using him in that same caliber, like where the play should go through him. Even though you have Amari Cooper and all these other guys you mentioned, he should be number one all the time. The guy's phenomenal. He's always open. I don't understand that either. Like, the coaches have to find a way to scheme him up, and it should be really easy because the guy stays open.
I couldn't agree more. But now we go from some of our biggest surprises to maybe some of our biggest disappointments here. And I know I touched a little bit on the Dallas Cowboys here. You're gonna put that final nail in the coffin for the Dallas Cowboys right here. What do you got, Major?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Dak fan, just because how he handled the whole taking a knee situation. Kind of all life matters, that situation where, he should have had a, more of a team mentality when it comes to the people. But his mismanagement of the clock, to me, that's 1 point. There's 2 points to this. So number one, he mismanaged that whole thing. To me, he should have slid a little bit earlier, gave the ball to the ref. Everything's fine. They would have had at least one more shot at the end zone. But like you said, the chances are pretty much slim to none at that point. But he tried, like, if he would have got that first down and got down and he would have had about almost 4 seconds left. The referee would have came in. He would have had about a second or 2 left to, do a Hail Mary. But he got a little greedy and got down there and slid and took his time and gave the ball to the center, which, like, that's like Pop Warner. We all know, give the ball to the ref so he can set it. Like, it's just like a natural thing. Wouldn't even talk about when you play football. It just happens. But the part that I'm really disappointed in is, like, Dak, the guy who was like, we all should stand for the national anthem and we all should do this. And the spokesperson for, he got all these different spokesperson, like, he had the soup one, he had the bed one, he had all these commercials. This guy is like the darling of the NFL after that whole situation. But showing the lack of character, like blaming a referee for that, and then on the top of it, like kind of congratulating or kind of giving a big up to the fans for throwing stuff at the referee. To me, that part was like the most disgusting of the whole thing. Like, why would you even do that? One, most quarterbacks take the blame. That's like the part of being a quarterback that everyone knows. when you guys are winning, you give the props to the team. When you are losing, you take the blame. That's what any good quarterback does. And this, in my opinion, was his fault, the mismanagement of the clock, but he blamed on the referee and then gave props to the fans for throwing things at the referees. To me, that was just like, especially coming from the spokesman, coming from like the face of the NFL at this point when it comes to, I guess, political situations and stuff like that. So it was just a little disappointing to see how he handled that versus how he handled the kneeling and all that good stuff. So Dak, I don't know. Do you get one of these?
Well, you want to talk. Dak wants to complain about the refs all he wants. At least the referees in that game are going to be able to ref another game somewhere along the way in this playoffs. Unlike the referees in the Bengals and Raiders game, the NFL basically said at the time of everything happening, I'm not going to quite go into it quite yet. Basically said, no, everything's good. Yeah, we agree, yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden the referees are told, yeah, you guys aren't doing any more games. That's how bad you guys were today.
Wow.
I mean, Joe Burrow did not step out of bounds. I get that. That whistle, though, how do you not hear that? I love the Bengals' responses from their head coach to Joe Burrow, a little tongue-in-cheek. No, we didn't hear nothing. They know they heard it. They just got you know what I mean? And Major, in today's game, once you hear that whistle, you have to stop. You absolutely have to, because you're going to get a flag. You're going to get a penalty. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, sure, the Bengals will probably settle for a field goal, but the Raiders, they don't throw that pick at the end of the game. They settle for a field goal. We send this to overtime. Every little thing matters. Now, I'm not going to say that this cost the Raiders the game. This happened in the second quarter. The Raiders had time to make up for this at some point. But, I mean, the whistle. How can this not...
Oh, go ahead. Finish. My bad.
As a Raiders fan, as a homer, how are you feeling right now? You've had the Immaculate Reception go against you, which hit the turf. We know it hit the turf. Everyone but Franco Harris is saying it hit the turf.
Right.
Then you had the tuck rule. The tuck rule. And now you've got the whistle. These aren't not like Ghost the Post or the Holy Roller or any of these great things that have happened in Raiders Allure. This is the negativity that's going on.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So for me, that is the biggest disappointment. You know what? I am happy for Bengals fans. They deserve this. They've been suffering. They've been yearning for that playoff victory since 1991. We talked about this. The Houston Oilers were the team that they beat, okay? That's how far back we have to go for the Bengals' last win. I mean, we've heard the jokes. We've seen the memes out there about no one's actually been able to text about a Bengals victory because texting hadn't come out until after the Bengals had won their last playoff game. You know what I mean? Like it's where we're at. I get it. I feel for the Bengals fans, but man, you've got to feel for the Raiders fans because this stuff just seems to happen to them every single time. And the way the season had gone for them, you just gotta be like, what do you do? It's been a rough season. They battle out a lot of adversity just to see their season kind of come down to that. And then the NFL goes, yeah, those refs were horrible. We're not going to bring them back at all this season. So for me, that was probably my biggest disappointment going back on the week. But full disclosure, I am a Raiders fan. I am a bit of homerism here, but I had to get that off my chest.
You have a point. And plus, I just want to add the way the NFL try to cover up things is just like the worst. Like they don't even try that hard. They just, I've heard things of like, there was a inadvertent whistle coming from the crowd. They try to blame on the crowd. We all know the referees blew that whistle. I'm of the thought that the whistle came as he already caught the ball. So I don't know if it was that big of a deal, but just the cover up to me was nasty. Like, oh yeah, a fan blew a whistle. Like, come on, guys.
I've watched this replay multiple times. The ball is clearly in the air. It's not even in the end zone yet in the air when that whistle goes off.
I know you did. I know you watched it in every angle, slow motion, fast motion.
And I'm not going to say he did or did not, but I'm pretty confident CJ Uzomah did not catch that first touchdown pass. It looked like it hit the ground. Just throwing that out there. No biggie. Game over.
What are the Raider fans saying about all those things you've said? Because those are like some of the biggest like mishaps in NFL history, and they all seem to happen against the Raiders, and then the next season we get like a rule change to like make it seem like it was okay.
Yeah, no, it's you know what? I think as a Raiders fan, you've basically come to that conclusion that that's the way it's going to be from here on out, right? So,
Yeah,
I mean, I get it, but now you know what? Let's forget about everything going on there with Vegas. Let's
forget it.
talk about the Bengals. Let's keep the Bengal train going. They are heading to Tennessee to take on the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Tennessee Titans, who look like they are getting Derrick Henry back in their lineup. This is the first time that I can remember that they've had Julio Jones, AJ Brown, and Derrick Henry all ready to roll in this game. And yet, I kind of like the Bengals still more than I did before. So, Major, give me your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting game to me. I think this is probably the hardest one for me to choose because I mean I went with the Bengals, but it's like 50-50 because getting Derrick Henry back and then having the Bengals having Trey Hendrickson, Josh Tupou, and I think I said that right, and then Sam Herbert all like not out but dealing with injuries. That having that front line with injuries and then Derrick Henry running through that line every single play will wear and tear on that defensive line. So I'm really worried about that. But if the Bengals defensive line and linebackers can try to hold Derrick Henry to under 100 yards, maybe they pull this off. But if Derrick Henry comes in like he left off, I think the Titans may be able to get it. And then another equation just to put in there, I think that will hurt the Titans is that having all those guys come back, like you said, for the first time, they don't have any chemistry. I don't think they've played all together once this season. So it's gonna be kind of hard for them to gel on a run in the playoffs. So I don't know, man. I think yeah, I'm gonna stay with the Bengals, but it's a close one for me just because Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you mentioned Trey Hendrickson. He's going to be a key. That's one of those biggest injuries to watch. This dude is an all-pro. Say what you want about Nick Bosa, but I don't know how you take Trey Hendrickson out of an all-pro stats the way he's been playing for the Bengals this season. I mean, we don't talk about him nearly enough. He is a big reason why that Bengals defense gets going the way they get going.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of an interesting matchup for me because the Bengals' strength is the Titans' weakness. And the Titans' strength happens to be the Bengals' weakness. If you want to beat the Bengals, you need to be able to run the ball. And Derrick Henry, he can certainly run the ball. There's a reason why he's called King Henry. Now, I don't think he gets king status this week. I think he kind of plays more of the role of the prince. I don't think he's quite there this week. But the Bengals, is there a better trio of wide receivers in the National Football League right now than Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, both 1,000-yard receivers, and Tyler Boyd, maybe the best number 3, 4th option on any team. The guy had just under 900 yards receiving this year, playing 3rd and 4th fiddle to Higgins, Chase, Joe Mixon. I mean, and the Titans, we know they struggle against the pass. So you know that the Bengals, they're going to come out throwing. They're going to get Mixon involved in the passing game. We know the Bengals are better when Mixon sees 4 targets per game. It's just one of those things that makes that offense click a little bit better. Takes a little bit of pressure off that run game because the Titans are really good against the run. I think they allow something like 64 yards per game against the run. You're not going to be able to have much success against the run, but if you're running screen passes, you're spreading them out, you're making them a little bit thinner, maybe those holes open up for Joe Mixon late in the game. And then on the other side, AJ Brown, Julio Jones. Which Julio are you going to get? We know Julio can take over a game. We just haven't seen it this season. We know what AJ Brown can do. He can absolutely go off for 200 yards receiving. Or we've also seen him where he's been invisible for games at points this year too, while healthy. Not because he's coming back from injury, but as a healthy wide receiver, he has had some low games so far. The most consistency they've got so far has been Derrick Henry, and I think he's still like top 10 in rushing yards this year with like 937. He's like 5th or something in touchdowns with 10. He hasn't played since like week 8 or week 9. Anyway, I've got the Bengals winning this one. Mostly because I love chaos, and I really think the Bengals will get another, let's call it a whistle in this game. Now, another game that we're going to head to right now, and I know this one's near and dear to your hearts. I wish Tara was here to go on this, but we've got the San Francisco 49ers fresh off a big victory over the Dallas Cowboys, reliving those early 90s And you know what? We get another early 90s kind of matchup here between the 49ers and the Packers in Lambeau Field. Who do you got in this contest?
Oh, man, this one hurts. It hurts so bad. But I'm going Packers in this one. Only because I don't trust Jimmy G. Jimmy will try to find a way to lose the game. He tried it last week, but I just didn't think the Raiders was that good to ever overcome. But I don't know, man. It's really hard for me to trust anything Jimmy G. And going against Aaron Rodgers, you're going to have to pitch a perfect game. Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to allow you to make any mistakes because he will capitalize. You throw a pick, he's going to throw a touchdown. If you fumble, he's going to score. So I think that's going to be the determining factor. Even though I love Deebo, Deebo's to me is the best running back in the game right now. The guy is just his vision, his sight, his contact balance. The dude runs through tackles like he's not a receiver. This dude is the best running back in the league right now. But I don't know. To me, it's an even match, and the thing that just kind of put it over the top for me is Jimmy G and his willingness to give the game up.
Yeah, you mentioned that willingness to give the game up. He's thrown 5 interceptions in the last 3 games. The 49ers happen to be 2-6 when Jimmy Garoppolo throws interceptions. For me, this game comes down to pressure and who's going to get pressure on which quarterback. We saw what San Francisco, I mentioned that earlier, 5 sacks, 14 QB hits on Dak Prescott. I don't care who you are at quarterback, if you're an MVP candidate or not, if you get hit 14 times, it's going to be in your head. Now, for the Packers, it looks like they're going to get Zadarius Smith back. It looks like there's a chance that Marcellus Whitney comes back here as well. So they're going to have some edge rushers coming back for this game for them. But you know what? The 49ers, they've been pretty good at protecting Garoppolo for the most part, kept him pretty clean against the Dallas Cowboys. And we can all kind of agree that the Dallas Cowboys have a very formidable, aggressive front when it comes to getting after the quarterback. And the 49ers did a very good job. Plus, they kind of got that dude there on the one end there, Trent Williams or something. He's one bad man. He's a bad dude out there on tackle. Yeah. So, I mean, I think he pretty much negates anything coming off the right side or obviously the left side for Garoppolo. Now, for me, it really comes down to Jair Alexander. Looks like he's coming back. But guess what? Jair Alexander, he ain't got no piece of Deebo Samuel because you don't know how to cover him. So you may be looking at Jair on Brandon Ayuk kind of thing. And on the other side, Emmanuel Mosley hasn't been bad this season. He's actually been pretty good for the most part for the 49ers. He's probably going to draw DeVante Adams. So that's going to be an interesting matchup there. Like I said, it's going to come down to pressuring the quarterback. I think the 49ers are going to do a better job at pressuring the quarterback. And when it comes, for me, look at the run. Green Bay is allowing, well, I think it was like 4.7 yards per carry. What's Elijah Mitchell getting right now? 4.7 yards per carry. We're not even counting Deebo Samuel as a runner right now. So I really think, if a running back's averaging 4.7 and a team's giving up 4.7, the math kind of goes out this way, and he's going to average 4.7. So give me the San Francisco 49ers in this one. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to come down to a field goal. I mean, it's going to be a 3-point game. It's going to be close, and I can see this game going either way. Actually, a lot of these games are too tough to call for the most part, but now we're heading to the Rams and the Bucs. Give me a kind of quick breakdown of this little bit of a Matthew Stafford heading down to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, this is another close one that was hard for me. Playing Tom Brady at home is always a huge feat to try to overcome. If Matthew Stafford can get those turnovers down, having Cam Akers back is a huge plus for the Rams. The way he performed the other day, running the ball and receiving, he seems like he's 100%. I don't think anyone's even talking about the medical miracle that is, that this guy is the first player in basketball or football to have an Achilles and come back in the same season. To me, that's something that should be talked about way more than it is. And shout out to Cooper Kupp being the first white player to win the triple crown at wide receiver. Like, that's something that we haven't seen in our lifetime. But I'm going Rams here just because I think the Bucs they got too many injuries. Last week, I think they overcame those injuries. Again, you have that quarterback, like Brady will find a way. He'll make the average wide receiver look like a star, and he has a star receiver over there who's playing with like one leg and one arm, and he's still balling out. So I don't. Yeah, man, it's a close one, but I'm going to give it to the Rams again. Like you said, I think it's going to be a 3-point game, a touchdown game. So, yeah, I think that's all I have for that one. What do you think?
I think we don't have to look any further than back on I think it was number 3 there. Week 3, the Rams hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They won 34-24. And here we got interesting because Tom Brady was actually the Tampa Bay Buccaneers leading rusher that game. Okay, we're talking about how Leonard Fournette may or may not be available for this game. I think that's a key in this contest. But in that game, Tom Brady, 3 carries, 14 yards. That was the leading rusher for Tampa Bay. Tom Brady absolutely let go, 41 of 55, 432 yards, only 1 touchdown in that contest. Mike Evans, solid game, 106 receptions. But here's the difference. No Chris Godwin. No Antonio Brown. I mean, Antonio Brown wasn't there in that game either. And then on the Rams side of things, they had guys like Deshaun Jackson, who absolutely went off in that game. I think Deshaun Jackson had like 120 yards on 3 catches. They had Robert Woods back then, but now they've got Odell Beckham Jr. Now they've got Cam Akers coming back. So the difference between this is, yes, both teams have lost players, but the Rams have actually gotten players of quality back
in time.
And now I will say Matt Stafford's kind of the Jekyll and Hyde of quarterbacks, especially in the playoffs. His first 8 games, unbelievable. You look at the touchdown to interception ratio, the QB rating, all that stuff compared to the last 9 games, night and day. Back then, 27-38, 4 touchdowns he threw. That's 2 to Cooper Kupp, 1 to Deshaun Jackson, 1 to Tyler Higbee, 343 yards. This is going to be an exciting game. I don't like to bet against Tom Brady because I think it's a bad idea. It's never a good investment to bet against Tom Brady, but I'm going to bet against Tom Brady here because I think the Rams are the better team heading into this contest. I think the Buccaneers are dealing with too many injuries. The Rams are getting hot. They're coming off a big win over the Cardinals, in which they made the Cardinals look absolutely silly. Give me the Rams here. Again, another 3-point game for me. Now, last game on the docket, maybe the most explosive potential game of them all. We've seen this showdown multiple times over the last couple of years. Last season, Kansas City, they took both games against the Buffalo Bills. Early in the season, Buffalo got a little bit of a revenge against the Chiefs, winning that game back on, I can't remember which week that was, but the Bills got a little bit of revenge back. How do you see this game playing out? Matchup number 2 between these two teams in 2021.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. This is 2 well-matched teams. I think the Bills kind of built their team around stopping the Chiefs, so that's why they're so well-matched. But I'm going Bills here, and for the sole purpose, because like I said, everything is across the board. To me, they're kind of like quarterback for quarterback. I think it's pretty even. Running back for running back. The running games are pretty even. The thing that puts it over the top is that Bills defense. That defense is playing with a chip on the shoulder ever since, that interview when the safeties were in there and they asked them about when the New England Patriots were running all over them, and they got kind of pissed off about that. And I think they're playing with that chip on their shoulder. So I see the Bills defense winning this game. Mahomes, to me, throws at least 1 unnecessary interception. So if the Bills can capitalize on that, again, this is another game I think is going to be 3 points, between 3 and 7 point difference. So if they can capitalize on one of these turnovers that Mahomes is going to give you, trying to do a no-look pass or behind the back pass or under the leg pass or whatever he does, if they can capitalize on that, I think the Bills are going to be good here. Yeah, and I do like Jerick McKinnon kind of rebirth in this playoff. He's balling, man. I think he's the running back that Chiefs been looking for. So keep an eye on that. But I'm still leaning towards the Bills and that defense to win the game for them.
Fun fact, back on October 10th, when the Bills defeated the Chiefs 38-20, both quarterbacks were the leading rushers in this game. We expect that with Josh Allen, right? We expect that 11 carries, 59 yards, 1 touchdown. What you don't expect is Patrick Mahomes running 8 times for 61, leading the Chiefs on ground. He did throw 2 interceptions. He threw 2 touchdowns that game. I mean, we look at some of the guys. It was Mecole Hardman who stepped up in that game. Remember that game? 9 catches for Mecole Hardman, 76 yards. Tyreek Hill, 7 for 63. Travis Kelce, 6 for 57. Travis Kelce wasn't even the best tight end in this game because Dawson Knox absolutely went Randy Moss on everyone. 3 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. I think he should have had a second touchdown. But you know who had 2 touchdowns? Emmanuel Sanders had 2 touchdowns in that game. You know what? I don't know. This game is too close for me to call, so I'm going to go with my heart here. Circle the wagons. Get out the tables. Let's go. Bills Mafia. Let's take the Bills by 3 in this contest as well.
It's out to
It's
Devin
exciting.
Singletary. Devin Singletary's been running a rock. I've been very impressed by how he's been running. And like you said, Dalton Knox had a game last week. So if those two can play, I think the Bills will be in good shape.
These are 2 different teams than when they met earlier, right? Kansas City was trending down. After that loss, they went to 2-3. The Bills went to 4-1. The Bills got hot. Then the Bills kind of struggled a little bit later. The Bills have now found that identity of, you know what, let's give Devin Singletary the rock. This dude can play. He can play some good ball out there. We don't have to rely on Josh Allen to be our star running back and our star quarterback. And now on the flip side, we don't know who the Chiefs are going to use as their running back. I mean, we thought it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not so fast. Daryl 1L Williams, not so fast. Jet McKinnon, he stepped up last week. We're like, oh, there's a Jet McKinnon we thought was going to come out at the beginning of the season. Not so fast. But speaking of running backs, we are going to talk more running backs here in just a moment. We got plenty more coming your way. I mean, that is just our little bit of our preview, our little bit of a prediction of how this divisional round is going to play out. So stay tuned. We are going to go to our running back watch list in just a second.